Linnea Osk held the compass against her palm while the deck pitched under her boots and watched its needle forget the north. For 7 months, the needle had behaved like any honest instrument aboard the bellwether. It had trembled through storms, steadied in fog, and swung cleanly whenever the haunted sea tried to trick her with false stars. Tonight, beneath a moon thin as scraped bone, it turned away from every direction she knew and pointed across black water toward a lantern on a rival mast. Ferren Malo's ship. Linnea closed her fingers over the brass case. The compass warmed at once, as if something alive inside it had lifted its head. "Not him," she said. The sea answered by lifting the bellwether sideways. Men shouted along the rail. Canvas snapped overhead. Somewhere below, a crate broke loose and thudded across the hold with the heavy, accusing rhythm of a second heart. Linnea braced against the chart table lashed near the mizzenmast. One hand on the compass, the other spread across the night's half-finished map. The haunted sea had moved again. It did so every midnight. Islands slipped from one horizon to another while sailors slept. Channels closed. Reefs rose like teeth. Any captain foolish enough to trust yesterday's chart found his keel opened in the dark. Linnea had been hired by the North Company to make the first true map of the archipelago. Ferren Malo had been hired by the South Company to beat her. His ship, the Marrowglass, rode half a mile off the bellwether's starboard side, black-hulled, its lanterns blue instead of amber. A shape broke the water ahead. "Reef!" Linnea's breath caught. The reef had not been there when she sounded the channel at sunset. It rose pale under the moon, too wide to turn from, its jagged spine waiting directly beneath the bellwether's bow. Then the blue lantern on the Marrowglass flared. Across the water, Ferren stood at his foredeck rail in a dark coat unbuttoned by the wind, one hand lifted. Rain began where no cloud hung. Not from the sky, but from the air above the reef itself, a silver fall so fine it looked like ink poured through moonlight. The drops struck stone and ran in streams, sketching every hidden ridge and channel. Lines of tide-bright blue formed around the reef's safest edge. "Hard starboard!" The bellwether groaned away with inches to spare. Linnea gripped the table until her knuckles ached. The magic across the water should have angered her. Ferren had shown his hand, and a beautiful hand it was. Exact, restrained, mercilessly useful. The rain he called did not glitter for display. It measured. It revealed. It turned danger into knowledge. The worst part was how tenderly he used it. The false rain slid over the reef like fingers finding the shape of a wound. Linnea forced her eyes down to her chart. The ink should have been her own. Instead, a new line appeared under her gaze in a hand she knew from stolen reports and despised for its elegance. Malo's hand. A narrow passage curved around the reef. The line ended in a sharp hook, almost a flourish. Linnea snatched up her knife and scraped it away. Salt water welled from the paper. It spread across the chart, not enough to soak it, only enough to blur the scraped place into gray. For half a breath, she smelled her sister's hair after rain, sea salt, and rosemary soap, and heard Solveig laughing from the edge of a dock 5 years gone. The knife slipped. The compass needle struck the inside of its case with a soft click and held its aim toward the Marrowglass. Across the water, Ferren turned his head. He was too far away for Linnea to see his face clearly, but she knew the instant he found her. The air between their ships tightened, a drawn thread over black sea. His hand lowered. The false rain stopped. The reef vanished into ordinary darkness, but its shape remained on her map in his hand. Linnea shut the compass. By dawn, she had convinced herself the problem was fatigue. The haunted sea made men superstitious, and she had been at sea too long. 7 months of lamp smoke, brine, and poor sleep could turn any irregularity into omen. Ferren's line on her chart had appeared because she had already seen his tide ink on the reef. Her mind had followed his pattern. The salt water had come from spray. Solveig's scent had been memory. Nothing more. In the bellwether's chart room, Denial sat more comfortably. The room had no windows, which Linnea preferred. Windows lied in these waters. The chart room offered lamplight, paper, instruments, and walls close enough to trust. Every surface held evidence of her work. Sounding ledgers, tide wheels pinned with copper brads, failed maps rolled under twine, successful fragments weighted with shells, stones, and a cracked porcelain cup Solveig had once used for ink. Linnea stood in her shirt sleeves before the main table and redrew the reef from memory. The new line appeared before she touched pen to paper. Not a reef this time. A room. She watched walls form in ink, a narrow room with a sloped ceiling, a washstand, a trunk, a coat thrown over a chair. Rain tapped against a porthole no bigger than a plate. At the center of the room, a man slept badly on his side with one arm flung over his eyes. Ferren! Linnea stepped back so sharply her hip struck the cabinet behind her. The sleeping figure on the chart turned his head. His mouth moved. No sound came, but she knew the word. Again. The lines blurred, altered, and became a different scene. A child stood in an orchard beside a ladder, holding a green apple out of reach of someone below. Not Ferren as he was now. Younger. Thin-wristed, furious. A man's voice, not drawn but understood, said, "If you want it, climb properly." Then the ink dried. Linnea's own breathing filled the room. The compass lay closed beside the lamp. Its brass lid was engraved with the North Company mark, a crowned whale. It had been issued to her the day she signed the commission. She knew every scratch on it. The small crescent dent near the hinge had been made when it fell from her pocket during the 3rd week at sea. The blackened edge came from candle soot after she held it too close while taking midnight bearings. She touched the lid. A second mark glimmered under the soot. Not stamped, not carved, but old as the brass. A southern gull with an arrow in its beak. Linnea pulled her hand away. A knock struck the door. "South Company signaling," an unnamed deckhand called. Linnea closed the chart before the ink could show her anything else. On deck, morning had turned the haunted sea pewter and green. The marrow glass had drawn closer. Ferren Malo stood in a small boat between the ships, one hand on the gunwale, looking up at the bellwether as if he had summoned it and was waiting for it to comply. He was older than Linnea by a few years, his dark hair whipped loose at the temples, his face cut in severe lines that should have made him plain and instead made him difficult to ignore. He wore no hat despite the wind. Pride, she thought, or performance. The compass inside her coat pulled toward him. The captain spat over the side. "He says we both have the wrong channel." "He would." "He also says your compass is his." Linnea looked down. Ferren's gaze moved to the exact place beneath her coat where the compass rested. He smiled without warmth. "Tell him," Linnea said, "that thieves often mistake ownership." A signal passed. Ferren read it through the flags, then laughed. The sound carried poorly across water, but Linnea felt it arrive. Low, brief, almost unwilling. A new flag rose from the marrow glass. The signalman frowned. He says, "Bring it close and prove it." "No." The compass clicked against Linnea's ribs. Both ships lurched. Between them, the sea opened into a narrow black channel that had not existed a blink before. The current caught the bellwether first, then the marrow glass, drawing them side by side with the smooth certainty of a hand pulling 2 pins through cloth. Sailors shouted. Lines flew. The ships slowed only when their hulls drifted so near that a man could have leapt from rail to rail. The compass burned. Ferren appeared opposite Linnea across the gap between ships. Up close, his eyes were not black as she had imagined, but a deep gray-green, the color of water beneath storm clouds. His mouth held a faint scar at one corner. His left hand gripped a compass identical to hers. No, not identical, the same. Her breath shortened. Ferren opened his brass lid. At the same time, against Linnea's body, hers opened too. One needle trembled in 2 places. "That," Ferren said, "is inconvenient." His voice was rougher than she expected, made of sleep lost and orders given in bad weather. Linnea took out the compass. "How long have you had yours?" "Since the South Company issued it." "Mine came from the North Company." "Then either our employers share a workshop, or the sea has a sense of humor." The needle spun once, then steadied between them, pointing into the newly opened channel. "We chart together until the channel ends," Ferren said. "Then we separate." "You give orders on your own deck, Malo." "And good advice on yours." The channel darkened ahead. Mist clung low to the water, smelling of iron, kelp, and thunder. Somewhere inside it, something struck a bell beneath the sea. Linnea's fingers tightened around the compass. 1 hour. Until the channel ends. No, until I decide you have become unbearable. That almost smile touched his scar again. Then I have less time than I hoped. They worked from opposite rails as the ships moved through the channel. The passage was too narrow for error. Ferren called depths in clipped southern measures. Linnea converted them aloud without looking up. She noted the current's pull, the color of water over stone, the position of floating weed. Ferren corrected the angle of a submerged shelf. Linnea caught the correction and added an adjacent eddy before he saw it. Their maps changed together. When Linnea drew a crescent sandbar, a matching line appeared on Ferren's chart. When he marked a whirlpool, her ink darkened at the same spot. The shared compass lay open on the rail between them, somehow on both ships, its needle quivering with each spoken measurement. The magic in it was not loud. That made it worse. It responded to accuracy, like a body responding to touch. A wrong number made the brass go cold. A guessed bearing dulled the needle. But when Linnea spoke truth, the compass warmed. When Ferren answered with truth of his own, warmth became heat. 3 fathoms by the black stone, Ferren called. 2.5, Linnea said. 3. You measured the outer pull. The keel takes the inner. His eyes narrowed. He looked at the water. 2.5, a sailor confirmed. Ferren's jaw shifted. Correct your chart. I already did. The compass pulsed. For one bright instant, Linnea saw not the channel, but a room full of maps hung from rafters, all of them blank. Ferren stood among them, younger than now, his hands stained with ink, while someone unseen said, "Win, or be no one." The vision snapped shut. Across the gap, Ferren had gone still. Linnea knew by his face that he had seen something too. "What did your map show?" she asked. His answer came too late. "Nothing relevant." The compass cooled. The channel ended at noon in a circle of calm water. The bellwether and the marrow glass drifted apart as if the sea had lost interest in pressing them together. Linnea should have been relieved. Instead, she stared at the shared compass in her hand and felt the absence of its heat like a missing pulse. That night, the first dream of hers appeared on Ferren's map. She learned because he arrived in a storm. Rain hammered the deck hard enough to flatten voices. The marrow glass had taken damage. One mast cracked, one chart room flooded, too much paper ruined. Ferren crossed to the bellwether under a line soaked to the skin and carrying an oilskin tube beneath his coat as if it were a child. The captain objected for form's sake. Linnea objected because she did not know what else to do. "The answer is no," she said. Ferren stood in the chart room doorway, water dripping from his hair onto the threshold. Lamplight caught on his cheekbones and the scar at his mouth. His coat clung to his shoulders. He looked furious, cold and alive in a way the windowless room did not know how to contain. "My charts are drowned," he said. "If I work alone, I lose 3 weeks. If you refuse, you lose whatever my map has that yours does not. I dislike threats." That was a fact. I can make it a threat if you need the distinction. Linnea should have sent him out. Instead, she stepped aside. The chart room shrank around him. Ferren removed his coat and hung it from a peg already crowded with Linnea's spare oilskin. His sleeves were rolled to the forearms, dark with rain, and his hands were inked in blue-black stains that had settled around the knuckles. She had imagined his hands soft from officers doing the dirty work for him. They were not. A healing cut crossed one thumb. Another scar ran from wrist to palm. He saw her looking. "Rope burn," he said. "I did not ask." "You looked." "I observe professionally." Then observed the chart. He unrolled the oilskin tube on her table. Inside lay a salvaged sheet, damp at the edges, but legible. It showed the same cluster Linnea had been tracing, the same reefs, the same impossible currents. But at the center of the page, in Linnea's own hand, was a dream she had never told another living soul. A gray beach under a white sky, a girl with dark braids standing ankle-deep in water. Solveig, 19 years old forever, turning back with Linnea's grin on her face. "You always take too long, little map." Linnea touched the edge of the paper and nearly tore it. Ferren said nothing. That silence did more harm than any question. It left room for the dream to breathe. How much did you see? Linnea asked. Enough to know it was not meant for me. Did you read it? His eyes held hers. No. It is a map, Malo. Reading maps is the entire point of you. Some coasts are not mine. The anger she had prepared could not find purchase. Rain beat against the deck overhead. The lamps burned low, making the brass dividers and ink knives shine like small captured moons. Linnea rolled the chart halfway closed. My sister charted this sea before me. I know. Of course you do. Companies trade in grief as efficiently as cargo. Linnea. Her name and his voice altered the room. No title, no surname, no rivalry hung on it, only recognition. She looked away first. She drowned near here, 5 years ago. No body. No wreckage worth naming. Just one torn page from her chart washed into a fisherman's net a month later. And you came to finish it. I came to prove it could be finished. Ferren's wet sleeve brushed her wrist as he reached for a paperweight. The contact was slight, barely touch at all. Her skin answered as if it had been waiting. The compass opened by itself between them. Its needle swung in a slow circle, then pointed down through the table. Linnea frowned. That is new. Most unpleasant things are. Do you ever stop performing certainty? Ferren's hand rested near the compass. When asleep, apparently. The corner of her mouth moved before she could stop it. His gaze dropped to it. A warmth spread low through her, startling in its quietness. Not the sharp attraction of a ballroom glance or sailor's flattery. This was worse. This felt like a locked drawer opening after years of pretending she had lost the key. She set both hands on the table. We work, he agreed. For hours, they bent over the same chart. Outside, the storm dragged its nails down the hall. Inside, the lamp flames steadied one by one, though no one had trimmed them. Ferren's tide ink moved differently on paper than it had over the reef. It did not soak into fibers. It hovered just above them, a blue sheen that showed what the sea wanted hidden. Linnea's earth-brown ink fixed what his revealed. Neither was enough without the other. Their shoulders touched once, then again longer. Neither moved away. Your south current is wrong, Linnea said, though her voice had softened. Ferren leaned closer. It is not a current. It is a hinge. Seas do not have hinges. This one does. He took her hand without asking, but slowly enough that she could refuse. His fingers were cool from rain, rough with ink. He guided her pen along the chart, drawing a line she had missed. The water did not flow around the islands, but through their nightly movement, each shore swinging from a hidden point. A hinge. The compass warmed beneath their joined hands. Linnea should have pulled back after the line was drawn. His thumb rested once against her knuckle. Not stroking, not claiming, only there. The stillness made the touch more dangerous than motion would have. Ferren, she said. His eyes lifted. The lamps reflected in them, gold over storm gray. A gust struck the ship. The room rocked. Linnea caught the table. Ferren caught her waist. For one breath, he held her. Her body knew before her judgment did. The strength of his hand, the restraint in it, the wet linen at his wrist against her ribs, the narrow space between them filling with salt, lamp smoke, and the heat of breath neither had spent. He released her first, not quickly, carefully. I can sleep on deck, he said. No, Linnea answered, too fast. Something almost broke across his face. The compass needle struck once against the lid. Linnea stepped back and reached for a dry folio. There is a bench. An honor. You may upgrade to the floor if humility takes you. I will try to resist improvement. She turned away so he would not see her smile. By morning, the storm had passed and the chart had changed. At the center of the archipelago, where no island had held steady for more than a night, one small shape appeared on both maps in the same place. Not large, not grand. a dark teardrop of land ringed by pale sand. Ferren stood beside Linnea in the gray light leaking through the half-open door. "The same island," he said. "Every night?" He laid 3 damaged chart fragments beside hers. On each, the island sat fixed while everything around it shifted. Linnea pulled Solveig's torn page from the drawer where she kept it wrapped in cloth. The ink had faded, but there it was, near the torn edge. The same shape. A note in Solveig's hand ran along the margin. All motion requires one stillness. The compass dragged itself across the table, leaving a clean line through scattered dust. It stopped between Linnea's chart and Ferren's, half on one page, half on the other. The needle pointed not down now, but toward the door. Then the maps changed again. On Linnea's page, the fixed island darkened until it looked bruised. On Ferren's, the same shore brightened with thin gold at its rim. Between them, in both their hands at once, a blank space opened where the final chart should have been. Linnea touched the blank with one fingertip. Cold passed up her arm. Ferren's hand closed over her wrist. "Do not." The compass warmed only when he touched her. The blank space widened. Neither spoke for a breath. The magic was no longer helping them. It was choosing between them. Linnea pulled Solveig's torn page closer. "We go." Ferren's jaw tightened. Together. They found the island at dusk. It rose from mist without drama, which made it more frightening. No cliffs, no broken towers, only pale sand, low grass silvered by wind, and a cluster of black stones at the center like fingers pressed together in prayer. The sea around it lay calm while the other islands wandered in the distance, sliding through twilight as if in sleep. Linnea went ashore with Ferren in the same boat. Their ships waited offshore, one amber-lit, one blue. When Linnea stepped onto the sand, the ground held. After 7 months at sea, stillness felt almost indecent. Ferren pulled the boat higher onto shore. "Do you feel that?" "Yes." "What is it?" "Land." "No." He was right. It was not only land, it was attention. The island knew the shape of her feet. Each grain of sand pressed up as if learning her weight. The sun lowered behind the moving archipelago, turning the water copper. Linnea opened the compass. The needle did not point ahead. It dipped. Toward the black stones, they walked inland through grass that brushed their calves and whispered without wind. Linnea carried the true chart rolled in oilskin beneath one arm. Ferren carried the lamp. At the stones, they found a hollow in the earth. It was just large enough for 2 people to sit shoulder to shoulder. At its center lay a flat slab marked with old lines. Not writing. Not quite. More like the first draft of a coastline made before there was water to hold it. Linnea knelt and touched the slab. The island spoke through the chart. Not in words. In pressure. In images. In a truth so complete it hurt. The haunted sea had been fixed once, held by a living cartographer at its center. When the last anchor died, the islands began to wander. Now the sea would accept another. One of them had to stay. The other would carry the true chart. Solveig had found the island. Solveig had refused to stay. Or perhaps she had tried and been rejected. The island did not explain the dead gently. Linnea pulled her hand back. "No." Ferren set the lamp on the slab. "What did you see?" "You saw it too." "Yes." The light between them flickered. Linnea laughed once without humor. "Of course." Ferren watched her carefully. "Linnea." "My sister found it." Her voice thinned. "She stood here. She knew." "We do not know what happened." "She died because this place wanted a body and did not get one." "The island is not hungry." That is a generous interpretation from a man who does not have to bury the same sister twice. Ferren flinched. She regretted it at once and hated that regret because it weakened the cleaner edge of anger. The lamp flame bent toward him. "I have buried no sister," he said. "That is true." The restraint in his voice made her look at him. "I buried a father who loved winning more than any son before him," Ferren continued. "A mother who stopped speaking my name when I chose ships over ledgers. 3 apprentices who drowned following a course I calculated correctly until the sea altered underneath them. But no sister. So yes, I do not know your grief in its shape, only in its weather. The grass whispered around the hollow. Linnea folded her arms against herself. Do not make me sorry for you. I am not applying. Then what are you doing? Standing here. Badly. The answer struck the anger from her before she could defend it. Night settled over the island. Offshore, the ships lit their lamps, one amber, one blue. Above them, stars appeared in unfamiliar arrangements. The haunted sea had always rearranged even the sky near its waters, but here the stars held steady. Linnea sat on the edge of the hollow. If I stay, Solveig's work is finished. If you stay, you vanish. I am already half ghost in these waters. No, Ferren's voice sharpened. You are not. She looked at him. He stood with the lamp behind him, wind moving his dark hair across his forehead. For the first time since she had known him, victory had left his face. No calculation remained, no angle, only fear, exposed and unwilling. You are infuriating, he said. You are exacting beyond reason. You distrust compliments and accept bad coffee as if suffering were a professional credential. You draw coastlines like you are forgiving them for changing. You are not a ghost. The words entered her slowly. Salt air moved between them. The sea breathed around the island, drawing back, returning, drawing back again. Linnea said, And you are impossible. I know. You correct people when they are right but not precise. Precision matters. You use arrogance like a weather coat. It is well made. You are afraid that if you lose once, there will be nothing left of you. Ferren's mouth parted slightly. The island seemed to lean closer. Linnea rose. The sand was cool beneath her boots. She crossed the small distance to him and stopped before their bodies touched. His eyes lowered to her mouth, then returned to her eyes with effort. Say something clever, she whispered. I have nothing. The honesty undid her. She lifted her hand to his face. Ferren went still as her thumb touched the scar at the corner of his mouth. Not a question. Not an answer. A reckoning. His breath moved against her wrist. Then he bent his head and she met him. The kiss was not gentle at first. They had spent too long turning toward and away, too long speaking through charts and corrections and the false safety of rivalry. His mouth was warm from held-back words. Hers answered with all the grief she had mistaken for discipline. The lamp flickered. The sea hushed. His hand came to the back of her neck, firm enough to steady, careful enough to release. Linnea gripped his shirt at the chest and felt his heart beating hard beneath damp cloth. The kiss slowed. That was more dangerous. Ferren rested his forehead against hers. Tell me to stop. No. Linnea. No. The second kiss was different. It learned. His mouth moved over hers as if memorizing coastline by lantern after storm. Her hands found the salt-stiff fabric at his shoulders, the ink stains at his wrists, the warm skin where his collar opened. He shivered when her fingers touched him there. A sound left him, low and broken. The island night gathered around them, wind through grass, tide over sand, the lamp's small flame bending and rising. They sank together to the hollow's edge. Not hurried, not careless. Every touch asked and was answered. His palm at her waist, her mouth at the pulse in his throat, the rough brush of his unshaven jaw against her cheek, the taste of salt, the smell of rain that came from him even under a clear sky. Above them, the stars did not move. Later, wrapped in his coat with the lamp nearly spent, Linnea lay with her head against Ferren's shoulder and listened to the sea that would become one of their lives. His fingers moved once through her hair, then stilled as if he had caught himself wanting too much. She took his hand and placed it back. I was not sleeping, she said. I know. Then why did you stop? I do not trust myself to keep what I touched tonight. The words entered the dark and stayed there. Linnea closed her eyes. Neither do I. Ferren's hand spread against her hair. For a while they said nothing. The island required enough without making them name it. Near dawn, the compass opened on the slab. Its needle pointed at Linnea. Ferren rose before she did. No, she said. He stood barefoot in the sand, shirt loose, hair rough from her hands and the wind. Morning had not yet colored the horizon, but the sea was pale with coming light. Offshore, both the bow ships waited like witnesses. It chooses you, Ferren said. It points to what I love. His face changed. Linnea sat up, the coat falling around her shoulders. Do not look so surprised. You are too old for that kind of vanity. Linnea. No. She stood and reached for her boots. I know what you are thinking. Stop. I have made no argument. You are breathing like an argument. A faint, pained smile touched his mouth. That may be the most accurate thing anyone has ever said about me. She crossed to the slab and seized the compass. The needle swung wildly, then pointed at her again. The island wants a mapmaker, she said. I am the one who came for it. You came for Solveig. Yes. And when you found her last shore, you mistook it for a grave that needed company. The words landed too close. Linnea's hand tightened until the compass edge bit her palm. Do not. Ferren stepped nearer. I can stay. You cannot? I can. You would hate it. Yes. Her throat closed. He did not soften the answer. That made it unbearable. I would hate the first year, he said, and the second. I would hate the ships leaving. I would hate the storms I could not chase and the commissions I could not win. I would hate knowing the world had continued with my name reduced to a footnote on a company record. Excellent. Then we agree. But I would know why I was here. Ferren. I have spent my life proving I could take any shore before another man named it. This one cannot be taken, only kept. His eyes held hers with a steadiness that frightened her more than panic would have. Let me keep it. She shook her head. No. The compass warmed between them. Linnea saw the future if she stayed. Her body on the island, her mind stretched through every channel, naming each shore until names replaced dreams. Ferren walking away with the chart, living, hating himself, winning the commission because that was what the living did. Years later, his hair gone silver, his hand pausing over maps when the stopped compass warmed. Then the vision shifted. Ferren on the shore. Ferren older with each season. Not quickly, not cruelly, but bound. Ferren learning the moods of stones, the migration of clouds, the language of islands. Linnea leaving with the chart, every success tasting of salt. Linnea standing in company halls while men applauded the work and did not hear the tide under her skin. Linnea returning as close as the sea allowed again and again to a shore that always watched. Both futures hurt. Only one felt true. That is unfair, she whispered. Yes. I will be the one who leaves. Yes. I will be the one they praise. Yes. I will hate you. No, Ferren said softly. You will be angry with me. That is not the same. She struck his chest with the compass, not hard enough to wound, hard enough to make him take the shape of her refusal. He caught her hand against him. For a moment, neither moved. The first rim of sun broke over the haunted sea. The island woke. The black stones hummed. Grass flattened outward in a widening circle. Offshore, the island stopped moving one by one, each caught in the first gold of morning. The chart unrolled itself across the slab, blank no longer. Coastline surfaced in living ink, every shore of the archipelago waiting for a final hand. Ferren guided Linnea's fingers around the compass. We draw together, he said. She could not speak. His hand closed over hers. They set the compass at the center of the chart. The brass case opened like a shell. Inside, where the needle had been, lay a narrow strip of light. Linnea understood. So did he. One line. One final bearing. One name for the place that held the sea still. Together, they drew. Ink poured from the compass, neither brown nor blue, but a dark green brightened with gold, the color of deep water struck by sunrise. Their joined hands moved across the chart. The anchor island took shape first. Then the channels, Reefs, shoals, harbors, safe passages, deadly turns. Every island held where they named it. Ferren's hand remained steady until the last line. Linnea felt the moment the island accepted him. It passed through his body like cold. His grip tightened once around hers. The veins in his wrist darkened with faint lines of green-gold light, not painful to see, but terrible. The same lines entered the stone beneath their feet. His shadow stretched toward the black stones and rooted there. The compass needle melted flat. Linnea cried out and caught him as his knees bent. He did not fall. The island would not allow it. It held him upright, gently, as if he had always belonged to its gravity. Ferren looked down at the chart. "It is good," he said. "You insufferable man." His laugh broke halfway through. Linnea held his face in both hands and kissed him, with the sun rising behind her, with both ships waiting, with the whole haunted sea fixed around them by the cost of his choice. He kissed her back as if farewell were another country he refused to enter until dragged. When she pulled away, his eyes were wet. "So," he said, "North Company wins." Linnea laughed through a sound that was almost a sob. "I may give the chart to neither of them. That would be poor business. You are anchored to an impossible island, and you are still advising me on business. I contain multitudes." She glared at him. "Sorry," he said. "Bad habit. Do not become noble now. I will not endure it." His hand rose to her cheek. The green-gold lines on his wrist glimmered faintly in the morning light. "Then I will be difficult." "Good." "And exacting." "Expected." They stood there too long and not long enough. At last, the boat scraped the sand. Linnea rolled the true chart with hands that did not feel like hers. Ferren watched every motion. When she tied the oilskin cord, he touched the knot and tightened it once. "Use your sister's cup," he said. "Break it. Seal the chart with porcelain dust. Let them know it was never theirs first." The suggestion was so like him, so precise and defiant that her grief found a place to stand. "I will," she said. At the waterline, the bellwether's boat waited. Linnea walked backward for the first steps because turning away felt impossible. Ferren remained near the black stones, barefoot in the morning sand, his coat hanging open, wind moving through his hair. The island seemed to rise behind him, though it had not changed. The compass lay in Linnea's palm. Its needle was a smooth, motionless line. She opened it once. Nothing pointed. Then warmth moved through the brass, slow as tide reaching shore. Ferren felt it too. She knew because his hand went to his chest. Across the sand, he smiled. Not victorious, not resigned. Hers. Linnea closed the compass and turned before she could fail them both. The ship waited offshore. The figure on the shore grew smaller with every stroke of the oars, but the warmth in the stopped compass did not fade. No needle could show that direction. Linnea held it anyway.